Welcome back to the Proximity is Power podcast. We have a very, very special guest today, Carrian. Say it again.
Cheney.
Oh my gosh. Carrian Cheney, she is the founder of Oh Sweet Basil, which, if you guys don't know, has over a few million monthly readers. It's a cooking blog, and it's freaking the best recipes you can find. She's also the author of 2 cookbooks now, and she's a speaker and entrepreneur, and she's just an absolute baller. So, Carrian, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you. Boy, I've got teenagers right now, and they're so quick to tell you everything you're doing wrong in their lives that I need to be on your podcast all the time. Be like, someone thinks I'm great, guys.
Listen
someone
to
cares.
Carrian, how I got in touch with her is I was actually at a class with my wife at BYU, entrepreneurship, and Carrian happened to come be a guest speaker that day. And she talked about her story and, her entrepreneurship journey. And I was just really inspired. So I begged her to come on the show. So here we are.
You didn't beg. No, I could tell that you've got passion, and that matters so much. That'll go so far. You care about what you're doing.
Yeah. I honestly just thought everyone needs to hear this. So I'm excited.
Cool.
So Carrian, where are you from? Where did you grow up? How did you grow up? Tell us about your background a little bit.
I had just a good childhood. I grew up in Vancouver, Washington, so basically Portland, Oregon. I spent all my time going back and forth across the river, seeing both sides of life. You live in Washington, you work in Portland most of the time over there, so it's always fun to cross the river and kind of see how everything's going. It's gotten a little crazy now, so I don't even know.
Yeah, what do you
Portland's
think about
a little
that?
different. It's heartbreaking. I was back last year and just wandering around going, wow, this is not the
How
beauty that I grew up with. Yeah, it's definitely got some sadness surrounding it. But it's interesting because even with everything they're going through, I still find my place there. They really do have a fantastic food scene. The breath is just it's still there.
Yeah.
Air tastes sweeter.
Yeah.
It is beautiful. So I grew up family of 7, so 5 kids, 2 parents, typical average household. My mom did not work, which I quite love, actually. I know that's not the norm, but I really loved knowing that my mom was home at any time. We could call her and be like, Mom, I forgot my project, and she'd run it over. I loved coming home. She always teases that I'd get home and swing open the door and just start yelling her name. And she'd be like, Carrian, what? I'm downstairs or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just needed to know she was there. I just loved that. Oh, she's here. Okay, perfect. Well, I'm here too. And I just go about life. So I have 2 older sisters, a younger brother and a younger sister. We're very spread apart in age. So I'm in my 30s. Got a sister in her 50s.
Wow.
A younger sister that just got married. So we're very, very spread
big
apart.
Gap. Yeah.
So it's kind of we each lived our own lives.
You guys were all single kids pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much doing our own thing. I was the pickiest eater in the entire world.
Really?
So it's fascinating that I now cook and eat for a living.
Yeah.
Because I was the one sitting at the dinner table well past dinner time, grumpy that I had to
finish your plate.
One bite of beans, Carrian. You just have to have one bite. And I was like, I'll never
do it.
Never give in, Mom. Ground beef was my arch enemy. Just was the worst. So yeah, just typical childhood.
Did you have a favorite subject in school?
I was a reader, for sure, reader. The older I got, I really fell in love with health and science. Mm-hmm. Interestingly enough, when I went away to college, I really didn't know what to do with myself. Mm-hmm. It was a confusing time. If you don't mind me jumping all the way to college, can we skip all the rest? Yeah. I was just a dorky kid growing up, not cool. I was in the band. I don't know what else to tell you. But in college, I was overwhelmed. Uh-huh. I really felt that I didn't have what everyone else had. Everyone else was walking around with, I want to do this. I want to get here. I'm majoring in this. I'm just really going for it. And I felt like a fake. Like, I'm taking classes, but I have no passion for anything. That was really confusing to me. I'm very religious, and so I became very prayerful during that time. Like, what would point me on the right path here? And nothing, like nothing. So I double majored, because if you can't win, like, I guess load up your schedule. I majored in Spanish and health science.
Wow.
I didn't serve a mission. I didn't know anyone Spanish, no Spanish friends, no Spanish heritage. We didn't ever live in a Spanish country, but there is like this love of the language for me.
Wow.
So I majored in that, and then health science. Just, my dad had owned a gym. It was a natural fit. Like, I've been around fitness for a long time. Well, I was a personal trainer. That's how I met my husband. So I kind of went after that thing.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful, because I think a lot of college students, I think, feel this and they don't talk about it. Like, I'm not exactly sure who I want to be or what I want to do. I just know I want these things. I want freedom, or I want to be able to help people, or whatever. Well, post graduation, I found myself doing food blogging, right? Well, that didn't exist when I was in college. Blogging did not exist. I knew I didn't want to work in a restaurant. I didn't want to be a teacher. So it's really actually kind of a cool thing that I didn't receive an answer, because it gave me the opportunity to have freedom to discover what didn't exist yet, and to build something that didn't exist yet. So then I've set off on this path. I mean, I'm glad I did college. It was an awesome opportunity. I would go back in a heartbeat. But my answer was post-college, what I was going to be and become. And
so by the time you graduated, you had no idea still what
you No, not at all. And all I could think was, and bless all the teachers, they're the best. I just knew I did not want to teach. There's just no way. When we were finishing and they were like, oh, your major has ended in Spanish. Like, we've taken it away. Now you have to do Spanish education. I was like, oh, no. Like, I have no desire to do that. Yeah. But I think sometimes you have to go through those situations so that you can really hone in on what your passion is. Like, forget having a major, forget having everything figured out, and this is going to be my career path. I think that's why it's important, even as an entrepreneur, to continue to play, to get creative, to learn something, because all of a sudden you go, well, I really like that, and I'm kind of good at it. Or I know other people that are good at it that I could hire to do, such and such. So I think that openness is key to success. Keep playing, keep looking into things, and don't just put yourself in a box.
Would you consider yourself like entrepreneurial, like growing up?
No.
Really?
No.
Just fine.
I think it's so fascinating, because so many people talk about like, oh, immediately I was the lemonade stand. I'm making the bracelets. I'm selling them to the girls. Yeah. No, I wasn't that way. I really just I was looking forward to growing up more than I probably should have, probably because I had older siblings. So it felt natural to me to just move forward. So I was a babysitter, but I was a money keeper. I wanted all the money brought to me, and then I wanted to keep it. Like, I want to earn all of it, and I want to keep it. Okay. I want everyone else to spend their money, but I don't want to spend mine.
Yeah.
Like, and then that kind of changed in high school, and I became very, very independent. Not only do I want to make the money, but I want to make a name for myself. I want to be able to buy my own things, do my own things. And that independence really pushed me towards being my own boss, I think. Just getting out and being comfortable with everything relying on me. Does that make sense?
Totally.
If you have to always work for someone else, I think it holds you back a little bit.
Yeah.
You might not be willing to step out, but because I decided, I'm going to earn my own money, I'm going to pay for my own college, I'm going to pay for my own wedding, that just for some reason became a thing for me. And I really think that benefited me. I really think it pushed me to be willing to go to any end to make a name for myself.
Wow. And then while you were in college, you mentioned this off camera, you actually knocked doors and sold alarms with Vivint for 2 summers.
That's a really smart idea.
And then your husband did that too. Is that how you guys met, or did you guys meet in college?
No, we met in college. I had transferred up here to BYU, and the day before, about a day before classes started, I had a really strong feeling that I was not in the right place and I needed to return to Idaho.
Wow.
And so I packed my bags, went and re-enrolled back at BYU, Idaho, and walked in, and my husband was made my lab partner in my very first class. We were the last two to enroll in that class, and so we were made lab partners. We'd known each other the year before because we were both personal trainers at a gym. And so I had already done summer sales. I'm the one that kind of sold him on it.
Wow.
And pushed him into that way. I was like, dude, I made bank. It's going to be awesome. Like, and it was a good opportunity for me. It really taught me so much about people, not about making money.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because everyone goes into it, I feel, strictly for the money.
Yeah,
mostly. You can go do this for this amount of time, and everyone's going to, try to get you on their team or whatever. And that's kind of exciting and fun, but you'll work for just this set amount of time and you'll make bank, and then you're free. You're free to do whatever you want. And then you do it again the next summer and you're free again. And I walked away going, whoa, I'm a totally different person. It's changed how I speak to people. It's changed how I listen to people. And it has especially changed how I read them. It became about, what does this person really need? I found myself with easy sales where they were like, yeah, dude, I want an alarm. I'm like, I mean, your credit's shot. Like, there's just no way. But I can see you're a spender and you want it just because it's another new fancy thing, right? But then there were those other people that you're talking to that I'd really have to dig. And the more I dug, the more I found out, oh, this is a thing. This is a thing. Everyone has something in their heart. Everyone has a need and a want. Everyone. And all you have to do to be successful is figure out how you're going to be the one to deliver that.
Wow. So for sure you feel like it helped you as an entrepreneur.
Summer sales, I think you can get it in a variety of forms.
Yeah.
You better believe that my daughters will not be doing summer sales. Like, I hate to break it to you, but
no, as a girl, I'm sure it's, and a mother, I'm sure you
there's just no way. There's no way. But yeah, I think it really taught me so much about, it's okay to ask for things. We want to be polite in society, which I'm a big fan of manners, but there isn't anything wrong with closing a deal. Yeah. And everyone wants to get as much as they can with as little work as possible. And it's okay for you to push for more. It's okay for you to say, you're going to need this. And that's another thing it taught me was, some people have to be told. Some people have to be told, you need this, you want this.
They're like on the fence
about it. They're on the fence about it. And you need to be willing to take that step to move them over. Not in a manipulative way, just in a, it's almost like I said, like
a confident way.
Yeah.
You that you're actually
be able
helping
to
them.
take that step. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then, so you did that. How was your first summer selling? Like, was it really hard for you? Did you almost quit?
It was it was the hardest, the hardest thing I've ever done, for sure, because boy, you get attacked by people, you witness crazy stuff, you're out no matter what the weather is. Right. Like, and you feel that constant stress and anxiety of, I got to make this happen. And if you have a bad week, it's not just that you have a bad week and shoot, I didn't make anything this week, it was a total waste. It's that you kind of internalize it. I don't know if you ever felt that way, but it's like, bad week, what am I doing wrong? Right. Am I in the wrong area? I suck. I shouldn't be doing this. Like, it can become this negative cycle. And you really have to overcome that, because you have to tell yourself every day, whole new day. Yeah. Every no is one door closer to a yes. And I had to really focus on that. Every single step was, okay, all day has been no's. That's awesome. That must mean the next one's a yes. Right. Like, and you get yourself giddy, and it's, it's not always true, but it really shifts your mind frame of, I can do hard things and I have worth. It does not matter what any of these people are saying about me. I know who I am, and I have something worth offering them. And I really did believe in my ability to do it. And I believed in what I was selling. Alarm systems may not be what everyone thinks about as being successful, but if you can protect your family, isn't that success? Yeah. So I found myself, believing in what they could do with it as well. And I think that's really important.
That's awesome. And then that's really cool that you've done that, because I know a lot of people that were successful in sales and then use those abilities, like, starting their law practice or their business or their, and all those skills like really help, like the communication, the work ethic, the ability to stay positive through adversity and hard times.
Organizing your time, being 100%
Discipline.
accountable for everything. I agree. And I mean, even pest control, right? I mean, you could go into that and people are like, do I need it? Well, you'd be surprised how much of a happier life you live feeling good about your space.
Right.
It really does shift. Yeah, it really does shift. It becomes, don't you deserve? It doesn't matter how much your husband makes every year or whatever. Don't you deserve to feel like you're in a clean space? And so it really shifted my brain to think, okay, what do people really need? Well, they need to feel like they're living life and that they're safe and happy and they have the privilege to be that way,
Yeah, totally. So Carrian knocks doors, goes to college, studies Spanish, and what was the other thing again?
Health science,
right? And then you graduate, and are you like really stressed out, like that you still haven't found what your purpose is, or you kind of just trust in the process still?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because it kind of sounds like I did all these things and now I do nothing with any of it. So it kind of sounds like a failure, but it really wasn't. When I graduated, I was already married. We were expecting our first by then. And so I just really shifted into, I went for the experience and I gained from it everything I needed to. And now I'm going to embrace this stage of life. I'm going to be very present in this. And I don't think I always perfectly do that to this day, but I think for that time, and maybe it was from summer sales, just recognizing that it didn't mean I was failing because I didn't know what to do with myself. My husband was moving in his direction, and I kind of just sat back and figured our way will be found,
Because was your original plan to be a stay-at-home mom like your mom was? Or was it always like, hey, I need to be doing something?
So it's both.
Okay.
It was both. I wanted to be very present in my children's lives. I just had such a feeling that our world was going to go through a shift and that it was going to be really essential for me to bookend my children's day. I needed to be there when they left and I needed to be there when they got home. That was really important to me. But I have got this itch to be doing something and to feel creative and to feel like I'm still producing something. I'm still present in life. And so that's the only thing that was really torn for me, was just feeling like, what am I supposed to be doing with myself? Because I'm not content to just be here.
Yeah.
I need to be doing something. And so it was a little confusing.
And then so Carrian grows up super picky eater. Did you like cooking growing up, or when did that kind of interest like? Yeah.
That's a good question. When did it change for me? I mean, I hated food so much.
Really?
Like, I really was just a nightmare child. There just wasn't, pizza? I didn't like pizza.
Wow.
Like, there was issues happening over here for sure. Something was wrong. But my mom was always in the kitchen. I like that she had the approach of, you don't have to learn it. You don't have to love it. But hey, I'm here and I'd love to be with you. Want to just help me out? And it was very casual. And I've learned that there's a power in kitchens, and I'm so serious about this. Being shoulder to shoulder with someone, creating something, is life-changing. It seals people together. There is a connection that can come in no other way, in my opinion. I don't know if it's senses. I mean, think about it. If you say to someone, like, what's one of your favorite things about your grandma growing up? Often they'll be like, oh, her cookies, or, what's one meal that you love so much that your mom made? And they can describe the whole thing to you. Well, I think there's a power from that. You're using all of your senses. And when you use all of your senses, you have to be totally present. You have to feel really calm and safe and happy, right? And so my mom had this really great approach of, she's making these like chocolate dipped peanut butter balls at Christmas time. And there's something so beautiful about that shimmering, glossy chocolate. And it tastes so good. And she's just, dipping the chocolates, lifting them out and setting them on wax paper. And because she's so content, and you knew she was doing it for her family. It wasn't ever just out of necessity. It really was a love language to her that I just naturally found myself like, sitting on a stool being like, can I do that too? Like, you look so happy doing it. I want to do it. So it was about love. It was about connecting. And then it became about how satisfying it was. That sounds weird, but stirring things, baking things, smelling things, all of it was just kind of satisfying to do. Like I found myself enjoying making things. And the more I made things, the less picky I became. For future children, if you take them grocery shopping and you put them in the kitchen with you and you let them touch the food, they don't have to eat it. Mm-hmm. Touch it, smell it, shop for it, chop it up. It kind of breaks down those barriers of being afraid of it, and you find yourself eating it more, So at some point in high school, I kind of started to become more interested in like making things and feeling the satisfaction of that. In college, it was a quick and easy, I can feed people and it's so fun and we all have a blast. Like we're all coming over and we're having we had a Jamba Juice night at one point. We made all these smoothies and it was just silly and fun, but it was a great way to gather people. Boys loved it. It was a natural, I'll feed the boys, and that was always super fun. But yeah, I think because the love was involved in it and seeing people be happy, it shifted into me enjoying the food more, you know?
That was really cool just watching you, you're so passionate about it. You can just see it in your face. It's awesome.
I like to eat it so much. Everyone's always like, you must love to cook. I'm like, I really love to eat. It's so fun. Whenever people are like, I'm kind of picky. I'm like, oh, so you're the worst. Yeah. I was the worst ones too, but you can change.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. And I've never thought about cooking, you use all your senses and everything, and how bonding it is for families and couples to cook together. That's cool.
Yeah, it's an immersive experience for sure.
Yeah. Me and my wife cook sometimes together, and it ends badly sometimes because she does her way of making the thing, and then I do my way, and she's like, that's wrong, and I'm like, it turns out the same, babe. But anyway.
Does it though? Sometimes.
Yeah, you're right.
We've had a few mishaps. I remember my husband making me dinner once, and he's like, well, if lemon pepper is good on chicken, it's probably good on everything else. And we had lemon pepper, vegetables, potatoes, and chicken that night. And it was so much. And we're all starting to choke and cough. And I'm like, this is the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, let me take over.
I'm like, yeah, we're going to be done with that.
Yeah. So when did so you like cooking, you noticed that, you liked food. I too, I love good food. I am probably one of the biggest foodies ever. And my wife is too. And I like fell in love with her at our third date because we were at like this really yummy restaurant. And she was just like describing like the food and the texture and stuff. But
you're like, done.
I'm like, I'm in. Like, yeah, it was cool. But so what kind of gave you the idea for Oh Sweet Basil and starting a cooking blog and
That's
recipe?
A good question. Yeah, because it didn't exist, right? So blogging back then, it's been, I don't even remember how many years. I always need to look this up. It's been like a good 14, 15, I guess 15 years now. And so blogging wasn't a thing. Mm-hmm. At the time, we were broke newlyweds. We just had a baby. She was little. We lived here in Orem, and we would have neighbors and friends over to eat. And it was just kind of a fun thing to do. We went on a vacation to California, and we just had, oh my goodness. I mean, bless Utah. They're really trying to come along. But food outside of Utah does tend to be a bigger deal. Yeah, it just does. It hits different. Well said. So we went to California. We just experienced so much amazing food in San Francisco and really felt inspired. And I just could not get it out of my head, like at all. Really? We'd been in this Little Italy portion and had the most amazing pizza ever. And I just kept telling my husband, we need to cook with more fresh ingredients and just experiment. Like, I just want to play in the kitchen. Like, that food was so good. There's no reason we can't do that. Like, I can totally do that. I mean, I couldn't. We were still learning how to cook. But came home and we just started experimenting with different food and recipes and inviting the neighbors over all the time. They would always leave and say, you got to get me that recipe. That was so good. And I don't know if it was like young age or what, but my very organized personality for some reason wasn't following through. And so they'd be like, dude, you said like 3 weeks ago you'd give me that recipe for like the pasta and you're not doing it. And I'm like, gosh, I know I suck. So I had this idea. I'd heard about blogs. People were just journaling back then. I personally was super weirded out. I'm like, why do you want to put your journal online? It's so weird.
Yeah.
So instead I was like, well, what I'll do is if I make something really good, I'll post it on this blog. I'll tell my friends and family what the blog address is and they can just hop on and randomly see like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, listen, this was like the most hideous thing ever. Like I'm taking pictures with this old digital camera. Like, it's not a DSLR. It's just a junky camera and we're so broke that I can't do anything better. And we're uploading it. It looks like cat vomit. I just want to die. And, but I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm just posting everything. And slowly but surely over time, people started commenting that I didn't know. And I was like, oh my gosh, like someone just said, in Tennessee that they made this recipe. My husband's like, oh, that's creepy. Should we like block them? Or like, I'm like, no, it's kind of fun. Like, I'm not bothered. I kind of like it. And they liked it. So I think we should keep going with it. And so it started as that. It started as just this, which I think is the key, right? It started completely not with the intent of I'm going to make millions of dollars.
Right.
It started with, I really like this. And I want someone else to find the joy and the passion that I'm enjoying. And they've got to be feeling like me. They've got to be at home with these young kids. And this is what my day was like. I was doing this, but I found this recipe that allowed me to, multitask. And it was awesome. So we kind of started rolling with that. Well, if you don't mind me continuing on.
No, this is awesome.
Story.
I love this.
You can ask questions. But as things are going on, all of a sudden we hit unemployment. My husband had gone to work and we had just found out we were pregnant with our second. My pregnancies are really rough. And so we just found out the day before, I believe. He goes to work, immediately comes back home, and he's like, so there was this like 8x10 paper on the door that says, we've shut our doors for business. I'm like, are you kidding me? What are we going to do? And he's like, well, we'll wait for the final paycheck. I'll get a new job. Well, no, they literally disappeared. That business gone. Like we never heard from them again. No final paycheck. I'm immediately in the hospital, hooked up to IVs and feeding tubes, and we're just like buried trying to survive. And, I kept telling my husband, I don't get what we're supposed to be doing here. We're living good lives. We're really good people. We're trying to serve and give back. And it's not just kicked when you're already down, right? Like sometimes life sends you such hardship that you feel like you literally have no worth anymore. What else could happen? What could we have done to prevent this? And so we go through 9 months of the pregnancy. Then we have our daughter. She's a rough baby, such a beast. And she'll hear this someday and be like, Mom, but she knows it's true. Like just nightmare child, crying all the time. And my husband still didn't have a job. And so we ended up being unemployed for 2 years. And this sounds so hokey, but I am so grateful. It made us become totally stripped down to the most humble people we could possibly be. And we had to completely reevaluate life. What's going to matter to us? What are our priorities? And what can we still do? So I'm like using food storage, that we had bought, like canned goods to make these recipes still. We're making absolutely no money. Bank account at zero, literally at zero. And my husband's he's also very religious. So he's praying and praying over things and, he's applying everywhere. But with a college degree, sometimes it's harder to get just any job, right? Because they're like, oh, you're overqualified or whatever. And so he came to me one day and just said, what if this blog could do something for us? I'm like, oh, no way. No one cares. Like, people are making the recipes, but how do you monetize that? How do you monetize someone's reading something for free online?
Right.
That makes no sense.
Because how long had you been doing it at that point when he?
So like we had been doing it, probably that 2 years.
Okay, 2 years.
2 years,
okay.
Yeah. It wasn't heard of. No one else was monetizing their blogs at that time. It really was just for fun. You could put Google AdSense on and make a couple pennies, but it wasn't a thing. So like I said, it was so important that we had no other options, because it forced us to say, we have nothing to lose. We have nothing. So we might as well try. And I think this is so funny, but I think because of my time in college feeling like there was nothing that really spoke to my heart, summer sales taught me, but darn it, I have worth. And I am actually good at things. I can sell, I can promote, I can do all of that. And I think all of that together made me realize, let's do it. So we did. We put up Google AdSense. I found an ad network. At that time, it was like a blog network is what it was called, and signed on with them. And then I just started thinking outside of the box. You know, we were at the grocery store one day, and there was like this little, I don't even know what they're called. You know, those little like boxes sometimes on the aisle where it like spits out a coupon? Mm-hmm. And you can like grab the coupon out. I saw that and I pulled a coupon out and really was so grateful for it. I'm like, all right, let's get some peanut butter. Let's make this happen. And as I'm walking through the store holding that coupon, just this idea came to my mind. Well, this brand wants to sell their stuff, and I'm going to post a recipe using it. That shouldn't be for free. Like, if I'm going to tell people to use this, then shouldn't I get compensated for that? Yeah. Wow. But at first that's so unheard of. Right. And I had to totally make up this whole idea. Like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go online. I'm going to find their website. Mm-hmm. I'm going to see if there's anyone I can email. And at first it started out really small. I'm going to email them and I'm going to say, I'm going to make this recipe. I love your product. You're so fantastic, right? You start out with all the good things. I love you. I use you all the time, or at least the last 2 times. And I want to use your product on my post. Would you be willing to send me coupons that I could use to purchase the product? And immediately they're like, absolutely. You know? Wow. But most people would never have asked. I don't think they would have asked. Right. And you did. And I did. It's funny because it was one of those things where even in their email back, they were like, we've never done anything like this before. I'm not even sure if it's going to work, but we'll experiment with you. But we want to see what comes of it. Mm-hmm. So like, tell us when the post is up and let's have like a touch back. Yeah. Let's touch back about everything. But you have to be willing to do that. You have to be willing to say, okay, what's something that no one's doing right now? And is it possible that it would benefit both of us? It can't be all about you. I have seen so many businesses come and go in these last 15 years, so many businesses that like have reached out to us or we worked with and now they're non-existent. And I think it's because they decided, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to make a business. I want to sell my product. I want to make money. As soon as I enters the picture, you're done. Wow. This wasn't about, I want to make money from them. This was, we are trying to survive, and people out there care about making dinner with their family still. And darn it, no one was doing that anymore. And people still aren't. And I'm determined to keep family dinner happening in America, in the world. Because if you can save family dinner, I think you can save families. And if you can save families, I think humanity has a better shot. Oh right? My gosh. You are incredible. You're very absolutely nice. 100%. Hear that, teenagers? Wow. Like I agree. I agree 1000%. Like family dinner. I know that my family, I was really lucky. Same thing, like my mom is a stay-at-home mom, and she always prioritized cooking with us and family dinners. My dad always made it. And I've just kind of like seen some of my friends' families who didn't make that like a priority in their house, and like totally different outcomes. Yeah. Like, so let me ask you something. Knowing that you could come home and have your family time be a priority, do you feel that impacted how you feel about your success in the future? Do you feel differently about yourself? Is there any connection to your parents being involved in a daily conversation with you? 100%. Yeah, I think that my relationship with myself and my family is 10 times stronger
than it would have been without that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Because you had to have time together, right? No matter what, you could come home knowing someone was going to be there at some point, even if they're not stay-at-home moms or dads or whatever the story is.
Right.
If someone prioritizes eating, which is a necessity of life, with you, then you are a valid human being, right? This isn't just let's go golfing. Golfing doesn't matter. That could be about your dad loves to golf and he wants to go golfing and I guess you can come along, right? But when you sit down and have a meal together, defenses go down, walls go down. You connect about things, you talk about feelings, you talk about the world. And even if you're not thinking anything of it at the time, you feel like a valid human being. So you see, blogging wasn't just about the food. I had a bigger mission in store. This was going to be about people, not about food. And I think that's what I could sell in the beginning, that even if someone else had been trying to attach themselves to brands and make a go of this, I don't think they had that same message, because I was writing these brands saying, P.S. my goal isn't just to sell your product on my blog. My goal is I want people making this recipe for the rest of time. I want them to say, my mom passed this recipe down to me. So your longevity is going to grow through my site compared to someone else's, because I'm not interested in just quick and easy. I'm interested in the relationships that come from it. So it went from coupons sent to me that I could get, a discount to, free product. Now, okay, I'll do it, but I want product from it. Or you can send me a coupon for free product and I'll pick it up myself. But either way, you got to do something. And then as that yes was coming along, then it turned into full blown, okay, I've tested the waters. They're willing to do it, which I think is important as well. I see so many people nowadays that are just immediately out of the cage, pay me for this. I'm here to offer you this service, now pay me for it, which is good. But you still have to establish yourself. You've got to keep enough humility to realize you can be confident, but you still have to start from somewhere. So I kind of grew in it, and then I started writing them back and saying, sure, yeah, let's do it again. But this time I have a fee for it, And then the real key was going from fees to long-term contracts.
Wow. So much to unpack here. Because I just feel like it makes so much sense, and I can see why you've done so well, because your purpose isn't selfish. It's totally on you want families to cook together, and you want to provide a really good product, really good recipes for families to enjoy together and make lifetime memories. And it's so powerful, because having a core purpose or mission statement, I used to think was so dumb.
Hokey.
When I heard about oh, this is our company mission statement, I'm like, shut up.
I know. I felt the same.
Values.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, good, cool. But no, it's so powerful to know and to have everyone involved in the company, to know the purpose, and people can feel that authenticity. Yeah. That you were truly trying to help people, and and I can feel that. So that's really cool. So when you first started Oh Sweet Basil, so you were basically, getting inspired by different trips that and restaurants you were going to, and then coming home and trying to experiment with different recipes and just adding stuff in, taking stuff out. Is that kind of
let's make a go of it. Let's we had that really good pizza, and then I will probably find out someday that I've got some kind of crazy issue or something, because I'd get super hyper fixated on it and be like, no, I am going to discover how to make the best pizza dough at home. I'm so tired of homemade pizza. Everyone's tastes like cardboard. It's the worst. They're like, oh, I'll try my mom's. No, your mom's is awful. It's not good. So I would get inspired. I would get inspired in restaurants or at other people's houses and just be like, I think I can do that. I think I can make that at home. And then that turned into, and again, this is going to sound wrong, but it would turn into, I think I can do it better. Yeah. I think I can make that better. And not always in restaurants. Sometimes they really kill it. But just how can I make this
taste better?
Yeah. Come into someone's house, and there's no reason that you can't have good food at home. You do not need to, be buying all this boxed, frozen. You can eat good stuff.
And it's way healthier buying fresh ingredients too.
Yeah.
So so you're kind of in this financial hardship with your husband, and he tells you should monetize the blog. And okay, so you get with Google Ads and stuff, and then immediately, like, how did that how did that go at first?
Took all year. I mean, we could see that, we went to consistency, making sure that we're cranking out content consistently instead of just whenever we make something good. Yep. On the blog, on Instagram, on any social media profile, then we determined, okay, if we're seen more often and we're more present, then we're accountable. They'll know that they can come back and check. We started posting on specific days so that people would get used to our schedule. Oh, there'll be something new this week. I can't wait to see what it is. And then we turned into, like, we've got to make ourselves a resource. So there was I don't even know how I found it. Actually, I think my husband found it. I don't want to steal his thunder. This program in Utah for female entrepreneurs that you had to attend this class. I really, truly, with all my heart, I'm so grateful, but I don't think it was really worth my time. But I attended this class one evening on female entrepreneurs, and they gave a grant. So we were able to, walk out with this check that could be put towards the business, redesign the site, have it make a little bit more sense, more user-friendly. And this is all happening in about over 2 years' time. But the first year, we did make our first $100, which was a really big deal. I thought we were, famous. I was like, this is it. We've done it. I just bought groceries all by myself and awesome. So much peanut butter. But, it was a process to go, but we could see that we were gaining followers. People were commenting a lot more. We started collaborating with other bloggers. We'd reach out to them and say, hey, I've got this dinner recipe. I know you've got that dessert recipe. I'll mention you, you mention me. Like, this is what you should make for dinner, and I'll be over here saying, and after you make that, this is what you should have for dessert. And just finding different opportunities to get our faces seen as much as possible. Going to local events, reaching out to restaurants and saying, hey, I'll cover your food, or we could do a giveaway. Same thing with products, just trying to pull people in as much as possible. Wow. So, we were working nonstop.
Just to collaborate with other influencers,
yep,
other
to do
people,
anything that we could to be visible. Yeah, to be visible. And then from there, we took 2 weeks, for example. My husband wasn't working, so it was easy for us at the time, but he was with the kids, and I just cranked out recipes, and I pushed us ahead of time so that, for 2 weeks we just cooked and photographed everything. He was helping me 100% with all of it, and we were able to schedule ourselves out farther so that we didn't have to worry about not posting 1 week. We were really set on people have to be able to count on us, and we want Google reading that we have every answer, right? I want Google to say, this person's Googling for chicken Milanese, and where can we find that? Oh, Sweet Basil has it. So I really wanted to become a resource. So after those 2 weeks, all of that extra content, it allowed me to work more steadily and keep ourselves. Now we're scheduled about a year in advance.
Wow.
So at any given time, we've got a good 90 recipes that are sitting ready to go. And then we're always revamping the past recipes, pulling them up, taking new photos, completely redoing the content so that Google sees it as fresh and new and alive, and making sure that we're being as smart about how the internet is used. So that we're always fresh. We're always staying on that top page of Google,
Wow. How hard is it for you now to make a new recipe?
Oh my gosh, it keeps me up at night. I got up at 3:00 this morning, and I was like, it'd be really good is I should take these sliders, and instead of doing meat, I should make them s'mores sliders. I could roll them in butter and graham crackers and bake them in the oven and be this gooey. I'm a psycho mess. It's nonstop.
Just completely obsessed.
Yes. It is constantly flowing out of my brain, and I'm grateful for that. I don't know if it'll last forever, but right now, everything inspires me and everything sounds delicious. And one good thing is that whatever you're doing, it can probably be twisted into 10 different areas. So, I love that Just Ingredients is doing this. They started out as protein powder, but people don't only need protein powder. They're also taking care of other parts of their body. So now they're branching into these other products, right? So we because we're on the food scene, we kind of stick to food, but we'll take one recipe and change it into 10 different things. Mexican street corn elote is a really big hit for us. So now we've got elote soup that just came out and elote pasta salad. And,
oh my gosh.
Just all these twists. You're constantly changing.
Yeah.
And then finding other avenues as well, right? Like cookbooks and speaking and different things that speak to you. I would love to get into product someday. Right now, I'm overwhelmed. I've got it all in my head. I'm just not sure who to reach out to. So that'll happen as well with time.
Wow. So you started the blog, started monetizing it 2 years after. How long until like Oh Sweet Basil was like actually paying you enough to like live on without? Like, yeah. So
once we decided to make a go of it, that first year we were already seeing income coming in. Everything was becoming a profit for us. From that point on, we have never stepped backwards. So we've just continued to grow every single year. It took probably 3 years, so 5 years in. But remember, the first 2 years, we weren't doing anything with it. But 3 years after our initial, let's make a go of this, then we were completely 100% successful with the blog, right? So it's still to this day, my husband has a job that he loves, but the blog is still our main source of income. But yeah, awesome. I would say it took 3 years for us to be like, you don't ever have to have a job if you don't want to. Like, we can be reliant upon this. And he's chosen to still seek out employment and to go after his dreams, which is great. But 3 years plus all the employees in between, right?
Yeah.
So success in that first year. The next year we hired our first employee, and we've just run with it ever since then.
Wow. How has like the business changed like as you've grown? Like, yeah.
So the business is totally different. I mean, it's the same.
Because at first it's all you doing everything.
It's all me doing everything. I'm photographing. I'm creating the recipes. We learned pretty quickly, this was just always in my brain, that if I wanted to be successful, then I needed to spend money to make money. And that would mean putting things in other people's hands. And so it went from one-man show, two. My husband was helping so much. But we were like tag teaming everything in the kitchen, to hiring employees that would slowly take over everything. So now we've got teams that write for us. I still do all of the photography and recipe development. All of our social media, we have people working on behind the scenes work, video work, analytics, all of it has other people. So now it's like this living, breathing monster, and I only do the recipes and photography. The rest isn't my passion,
That's really cool. So you've kind of figured out like exactly what you love doing in the business and what you don't like, and you've delegated all the stuff you don't like.
Yeah, like I'll get on and I'll write personal posts for Instagram or for the blog. I'll add my personal touches because I still want it. I very much believe that your product is not your business, you are. And so I want to keep my heart in there for sure. But yeah, it has to evolve. Now we're all over social media. That wasn't a thing in the beginning. Now we're doing reels. That wasn't a thing in the beginning. It has to change. Now it went from being solely blog to now I do a lot of speaking and engaging in different ways like that, which I love that part. I want to be with people and talking to them. So
you're an amazing speaker.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, like incredible. Everyone listening to this already knows, but what's kind of surprised you on your journey? Like, what's been the most shocking, surprising thing, would you say?
Oh, what's been shocking?
When you talked at BYU, you kind of talked about how brutal people can be on the internet sometimes.
Yeah.
But
that's a great question, because you don't start out with a perfect plan. And then as it goes along, inadvertently, you start to create one. And the world is really good at shaking that up and helping you kind of recognize you're not in control of anything. It has been incredibly shocking to me the drastic sides of humanity, that people are incredibly cruel online, and it doesn't matter if you're a child or an adult, and people are incredibly good online. And because the angry, the cruel, the mean, because they're so loud, we tend to think that is what we're becoming. When the reality is the other ones are so busy taking care of everyone, they don't have time to join the fight. And so it looks like they don't exist. And that has been really surprising to me. When we've been, I shared my pregnancy journey on the blog, and so I have hyperemesis gravidarum. It's a really big word. So we call it HG at my house. It literally can take your life. And it's amazing that a baby can survive. They're such a little parasite. They just suck everything from you, and you're dying, and they're like, I'm surviving, But I thought that journey would be vulnerable, but also necessary to show. And people just ate us alive about it. I mean, they were so unkind about everything. And they came out of the woodwork about everything, that that we shouldn't be parents, that our children should be taken from us because I was in the hospital so much, and just what bad parents we are, how incredibly selfish I am to be willing to have children, knowing that, this is what my pregnancies were like. And you have to make a decision. I don't care what your business is, there will always be someone who tells you that you're not doing a good enough job, or some unhappy customer or whatever. And you have to make a decision at some point. I know who I am, and just knowing that is going to be good enough. And in flipping that in my mind, my husband encouraged me to take a different approach to people. I hadn't said anything online, but boy, to him, I had certainly said, these people are crazy, like, what the heck's wrong with that guy? And he just really encouraged me to stay true to myself, to not join them in the argument, that I didn't have to. Just because there's a fight going on didn't mean I had to be a part of it. And so I wrote back, just what I thought would be the right response for my name, for who I was inside. And it's amazing how many tenderhearted people came out and just really rallied around us when they saw us willing to continue to be vulnerable instead of coming back for the fight. I had one guy that wrote and said, I'm sorry, it was a woman. Anyway, they came back and they were like, I've been watching every day for your response to that one guy. Like, every day I've been coming back waiting to hear what you're going to say. And I get it. You want to sit at home with the popcorn. It's exciting. Like, whoa.
Yeah, the trolls.
Yeah, it's so good. But then they wrote the kindest response of, I am so touched by your willingness to, validate the things that they were saying, that, this does look crazy. And I can completely understand why you're concerned. Sounds to me like what you're really concerned with is, are we all safe? Are we all okay? And yes, let me tell you about me. So changing it into that kind of situation, oh my gosh, the most incredible people came forward. And then from that, the most loyal followers came. Our willingness to be vulnerable created this community that matters to me far more than any of the recipes. And it gave people a place to hurt safe, right? They could come, and just last week I had another woman comment on that post that was like, I've been suffering this whole time. I had no idea that this was even a thing, but reading through your site, like, now not only do I have answers, but for the first time ever, I don't feel alone. People are at home alone these days. And I didn't expect that I would be able to make a difference and to touch hearts. I thought I was just cooking food, to put on the table. When I was a teenager in junior high, I was not a cool kid. I had friends, but I just felt different than everyone else. And I have this very vivid memory of walking down the hall at Pacific Junior High, and I just feeling like, if I could just have this room filled with all these people, and I could just really tell them what I think and feel and believe, I think it would make a difference. But that'll never happen. Like, it wasn't even a prayer. It was just a thought. And now all these years later, I'm living and breathing it. You put all those people on a website where I get to say, okay, after dinner, after you make this recipe that's so delicious, just so you know, you still matter. And what you did all day today in your home, that still matters. And someone out there, out of all those millions of people, there's one person that goes, oh, I needed that. I needed that one moment. And I'm okay because of it. Gosh, I never expected to find that.
That's so cool. I mean, one thing that I've heard a lot at BYU and with different mentors is like business is a spiritual game, and like there's nothing better you could do for humanity than serving with all your heart and like serving, right?
Well said.
And that's what you're doing, and it's so cool to watch you and like the impact that you're having, and I've even seen that from starting this podcast since beginning of January this year, like some comments from people of how this podcast has helped them. And it's like the coolest feeling in the world knowing that you made some type of difference in someone's life. And
so hold on to that.
And you're on a way bigger scale than me right now, but
does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
We're all on our own journey.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because honestly, you never know where this is going to go.
Yeah.
But either way, I can see in your eyes, you're feeling good about it too.
Yeah.
And I think the message isn't always for someone else. Sometimes it's for the very person sitting in the chair, right?
True.
And with all that being said, the reality is that this business is not my business.
Yeah.
This platform is not my platform, it's God's. And I will always do with it whatever He desires. And that is my priority forever. As long as He stays the director of all things, whatever success comes is exactly the success that I need and want. You know, someday this might go away. This might not be here anymore. But boy, we had a good run.
Yeah.
We did a lot of good with it. And most important of all, it was my hands, but His words.
Wow. This has been amazing.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited. I'm excited to rewatch this. Couple last questions. What advice would you give someone that wants to start a business?
What advice? I've got like so much.
Yeah, I bet.
I think, I said it in the BYU class, you got to dig deep. It cannot be, I just want to do this, or I just want to make this. I always give the example of the photographer, go 4 levels deep. Start out with, I want to be a photographer. That's awesome. But what else? Okay, I want to be a photographer for families. Awesome. There's a lot of those in the world. What else? Okay, I want to be a photographer for children. Okay, you've really narrowed it down. Now you're really talking. Now you're really starting to get serious about what you can offer to people. Take it that last step that seems like you're not going to be able to figure it out. Mine isn't just recipes. Mine is about people. Mine is about relationships. And so I have to bleed myself into every post because it's about futures, right? So you take it one last step and you say, I'm not just going to be a photographer of children. I'm going to do special needs children. So as deep as you can go, really narrow down what is it that's going to make you completely set apart from everyone else. There are a gazillion food blogs these days. Why do people keep coming to mine? Because I have built a loyal community of genuine friendships and real people, right? That works for me. I got started in the beginning and I can really keep that as mine. But for somebody else, it can't just be, I want to start a clothing store. What do you want to do with that clothing store?
Yeah.
Who do you want to walk in and feel like today was the worst? I lost someone I care about, but I can count on this store to find what I need to go do something really hard, to attend that funeral or whatever. So you want to find your deep, deep level. And then, like 5 more. Stay true to yourself no matter what. You have to. The money, the fame, the whatever, even just the schedule will suck the life out of you. You will feel tempted to give into it, especially schedules. Set boundaries and stay true to yourself. You don't just want to earn money. Why do you want to earn money? It's because you want to be free. You want to be able to be with the people you love. So you have to keep that priority in place. You are not ever going to make more money by working more hours, period. So set your boundaries now, stay true to the people who have been true to you, and keep that as your priority. And then ask for it. And every time someone says yes right away, realize that it's time to raise your rates because you're probably underselling yourself too much. You got to push it up higher. Ask for more.
I love
Sorry,
that.
that's 5.
That was great advice. And I even sitting at BYU, I was listening to you and I was like, I whispered to my wife, I'm like, I should ask her to be on the podcast. She's like, and then she's like, you totally should. I'm like, no, she'll probably say no.
Oh, no!
You know, that other side comes on and
Nope.
I'm like, she's like, just ask. I'm like, you're right. And
Yeah,
so
you
then
have to
I
go
did.
for it.
And then, yeah, you were totally
And look what happened.
friendly. Yeah. And here we are.
Totally worked out. What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to say no.
Right.
But they're not going to beat you. You're not going to lose all your money
Right.
by like asking for, you know what I mean?
Nothing changes.
Nothing changes. Yeah. And you deserve it. Everyone deserves to find their success.
Totally. One last question. If you had the whole world's attention for a minute, what would you want to tell everyone?
What? That's a big question. If I had the world's attention for 1 minute, I think I'd want this sounds like what everyone else says, and I'm tempted to not say it for that reason. Self-doubt, right?
You could give 2 answers if you want.
I'd want them to know, no matter your background, no matter your life circumstance, that there is a purpose and a place for you, that you matter, that you're loved, and that you are capable of giving love, and that is life-changing. I don't care if you ever set up a business. You do not have to go be an entrepreneur. I do not care if all you do for the rest of your life is sweep someone's school. The janitor that was kind to my daughter every year at one of her schools mattered. The bus driver is my son's saving grace when we moved and he hated it and was having such a hard time. You do not have to be anything big. You have to remember that you are loved. You have a purpose. And one of those purposes is to love.
Wow. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Gave me the chills. Guys, this has been incredible. I'm sure you guys have learned a ton from Carrian. Go follow.
Or not. You never know.
Absolutely you have. I know you have. Talk to me if you haven't. But go follow Oh Sweet Basil on Instagram. Where can people find you, Carrian?
ohsweetbasil.com. Oh Sweet Basil on all the platforms. So all the handles are the same. Makes it easy. Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, never Snapchat.
Never Snapchat. Awesome. Go give her a follow. Go find her cookbook. My mouth was watering this entire time when she's talking about different recipes, but yeah, go give her a follow, go support, and until next time, thanks for watching.